Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I'm Mr. Bill Knight, drinking my coffee as usual because I have to get my morning kickstart.
Well, it's Tuesday. A lot of things happening in our world. A lot to talk about. Not a very pleasant environment that we're living in right now. So many negative things seem to be happening, and I'd like to say that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't see it right now. Do you?
There is no light at the end of the tunnel. It is a crazy, mixed-up world that we live in. And, it's funny because I was looking at something on LinkedIn, going through my thing, and somebody that's a voice actress sat there and put her, cast her line out there for everyone. And then I noticed, she felt compelled.
Oh, they always do.
Felt compelled to put her, what do they call that now? The little
wokeness, their wokeness emoji,
the little pronoun thing.
I've seen that a lot now on LinkedIn.
Her, she, and I'm like going, you know what? What importance is it?
Yes,
you're a chick with a female voice. You can identify it as anything you want to. It makes no difference whether I'm going to hire you or not, or anybody else.
Well, I got a question.
Who's going to hire you?
I saw that on LinkedIn too, and I'm wondering, is that a box that you check when you're filling out your? I'm thinking LinkedIn is woke. What do you identify as? Her, she? I think of her, she. I think of a candy bar myself, but that gives you
she, her,
Hershey candy. That's what I think of. But
I thought about it. I'm going to put, in parentheses, kiss / my / you get the rest.
Yeah.
/
Well, I think I think to myself, is this a sign of our age? But then I look around and I do hear stories that drive me nuts. There was, and I'm trying to think what the competition was. I think it was overseas, but there were two guys competing as women. I want to say in a running match, and they came in first and second, and the woman came in third place, and the two guys kissed on the podium when they were getting their award, and the woman was holding her child. And I was thinking, if I were a woman, every woman out there right now should be ticked off. Really ticked off. There should be, you want to talk about protests, they should be out protesting that because they're losing their own sports to guys.
Oh, yeah. But, everybody's, I think, afraid to say anything or they're in shock. But, we went along for 2,000 years and we didn't have to have a pronoun,
Right.
Are you a he, she?
Right.
A him, he? A him, ha? A whoa-ho? Ding bat. I don't know what the hell you are, and I really don't care.
Well, Kristi Noem, who is the governor of, South Dakota, and she's a brilliant young woman. I say young woman because everybody is younger than me, but she has said that if the federal government doesn't give us the federal money for schools and stuff like that, because they're going to, they put, I guess, a law together in South Dakota where if you are a guy and you want to compete in a woman's sport, you can't, because the determining factor is your sex at birth, your gender at birth. If you were born a man with male parts, no matter what you feel like when you're 18, you still cannot compete in the opposite sex sport in South Dakota. But I guess they're being told by the federal government that's a violation of federal law and you may lose a lot of your funding. And she said, if you do that, we're going to sue you.
You know what? Who made these stupid federal laws? Oh, yeah, the woke left. People wake up, see what's happening to the country. If you don't like it, vote these so-sos out. And you know what? If somebody really feels compelled to send me a letter, and now this is just me, I'm speaking for me. You send me a letter asking for my business. I don't care how great it is, because someone else can duplicate what you're doing. And you say, Mr. or Miss so-and-so, and in parentheses, you've got that pronoun. If I can't figure out by your name what you are, and I don't care how you identify, but I'm just doing business with a name, not a pronoun. And when I see the pronoun, that means you're you're telling me something more than I want to know or I want to do business with. Your crap goes in the trash.
I went to my grandson's graduation a few days ago, and I couldn't help but look at these handsome young kids, all of them up there getting their awards, smiling, and thinking, what a confusing world they're negotiating right now. They're going through right now. We didn't have to deal with transgender this or guys thinking they're women and competing in their sports. And I mean, there's just so much confusion out there right now. And it's not unintentional, I believe. I think that there is a method to the madness of the left.
Well, there's an agenda, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're trying to really and truly confuse the world, to mess things up. We're not dealing in a healthy environment anymore.
Well, I remember the one thing we said we wanted to talk about yesterday, and I forgot. I have a terrible memory span. I need to carry around a notepad. But it was, and you knew about the story, George Soros getting into the broadcast business.
Yeah.
Now, he has a company, and he bought for $66 million, I believe, which is not a big number today in radio, but he bought Hispanic stations. And why would he do that? Well, obviously, he has an agenda and a message he wants to get out. And you even pointed out, yeah, you know what? Probably the illegals coming across, he wants to
Manipulate.
Yeah. And you can't tell me that they're not going to use every propaganda source that they have to manipulate and lie to these people. And you can't tell me that if he's going to stop at those 18 stations.
Well, Bill, here's a story. You know as well as I do, this is not a guy who's in it for the love of radio like you and I got into it. This is a guy who's pushing 90 years of age who is doing it for one reason. One obvious reason. He's doing it to have influence on that segment of our society. And with 18 Latino radio stations, it's a good beginning.
Oh, and major markets. Now, what's going to make him stop at Latinos? If and I hate to say it, but let's say that he goes, you know what? We need to silence the conservative voice. You can't silence podcasts unless you change some laws. Mm-hmm. But the radio stations are very powerful. Let's say that he buys a major network. Let's say that he buys the stations that air these shows. And he could. He's got the money. And first thing he would do,
right? That's true.
Bye-bye Hannity, bye-bye Tucker, bye-bye whoever on whatever. And he would put in the left propaganda, and that would be that.
The only good thing going for them now is that they do have an option. They do have the podcast option. If someone were to pull a recognized celebrity like Tucker, he probably would go right over to the podcast arena, and he'd bring a lot of his audience would seek him out. Well, look at point of fact, Bill O'Reilly. Fox fired Bill O'Reilly. And they make up all these trumped up reasons for doing it, and most of them are trumped up. They called it sexual abuse or something like that.
There's so many people when they want to yank them, they become sexual predators.
What is sexual abuse, Bill? I mean, nowadays, if a guy says, "Oh, you look very nice today, so and so," "Oh, I like that dress," that can be sexual abuse.
Well, it is, Jim. You shouldn't be looking at her.
That's true.
Or him.
Exactly. Trust me. Well, but it's true. It's true. If you walk around and say the nicest little compliment, nowadays, it can be interpreted as being sexual harassment. You can be in trouble. So, and a lot of old guys like us, and Bill O'Reilly might have done that. Bill O'Reilly might have said, "Boy, I like your hair today. It really compliments your face." Boom.
Well,
$25 million.
One of the things that I do is I open doors for ladies. I open doors for a lot of people. I just think it's a courteous thing to do. And, my lady friend up north, she's got a son, and I never said anything to him, but he noticed it. And he thought, man, that is cool. So now he's opening the door for his mom. He does it for his grandmother. He does that. And I sat there and I said, he's going to get in trouble in school. I said, I wouldn't stop him.
Right.
She goes, oh, the day that happens, I'm going to go have a meeting at the school because that is the nicest thing that he can do. But somebody's going to say, that's offensive that
it's
you
sexist.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't think we can open our own doors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I have a new nickname for you, by the way.
Oh, Jesus.
It's Bill the Doorman Knight.
Well, when I was a kid, that's where it really came from. As a poor kid, I worked at the hotel for tips.
Isn't it sad, though, that something as nice as what you're talking about can be interpreted as a negative no? Something that you have to worry about your kid getting in trouble for, opening a car door.
Yeah, any kid. I mean, all my kids had manners because that was the one thing that they were taught.
Right.
But it's not a thing to have in this day and age. So in effect, I made them dinosaurs before they ever had a chance to become one, and it wasn't by ill intent. It's just, there's weird stuff going on. Anyway, let's move on.
But it's interesting, Bill, that these good kids have to deal with this nonsense. And it is nonsense. I mean, it truly is. Opening the door for somebody or saying, boy, you look nice today, or good morning, I like that dress, compliments you. Things like that can be interpreted as sexual harassment and get you in trouble. And that's the kind of thing I think that got Bill O'Reilly in trouble at Fox, because they weren't so much interested in sexual harassment. They wanted him out.
Mm-hmm.
Because
look, if they want you gone, look, I've been wished gone before at radio stations, and not because of ratings or how I sounded. It was because, we got a new guy in. I remember a program director one time he came in. I was number one in my time slot. As a matter of fact, I was number one in the market in my time slot. And he came in and he goes, we want to do something a little different. Okay, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Well, can you give me an idea? He goes, no, just change what you're doing. All right, but you can't give me a clue?
Yeah.
No, but I'll know it when I hear it. Yeah. And when I heard that, I was going like, that's
cancel that mortgage application.
Send out those tapes, my boy. Yeah. You're about to be fired.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that O'Reilly was big enough where he was able to bring a good chunk of his audience over to the internet, and he podcasts his program every night. And now he's on a network called The First, which I don't watch. I don't think a lot of people do, but the people who like O'Reilly and want to see his show every night, they find it. So he must have a pretty big following, and I don't think he's hurting because of the Fox move. That being the case, I think Tucker's in a similar situation. They're not crazy about Tucker's the way he approaches his show either at Fox, from what I understand, because he kind of doesn't follow their guidelines. They don't want him mentioning things like 2,000 Mules on Fox.
That's a no-no.
Fox had this edict, no mention or no reference to the movie 2,000 Mules, which is, by the way, one of the finest movies I've seen in a long time. It explains what happened in 2020, and you just can't refute it. I mean, you look at it, and you see what happened, and everyone's saying, well, geo-tracking, how accurate is that? Well, they use it to put missiles into buildings, so I think that's probably as accurate as you can get.
The left keeps putting it down, but these are the people that are in power that don't want you to see it, and they've seen it, and they know it's true. But the woke left, or not even the woke left, they're just the people that are drinking the Kool-Aid that might argue with you. If they sit there and swallow their pride and just go, you know what, I'm going to be open, and I'm going to go ahead and watch that thing. And when they do, they go, wait a minute. Whoa, back this bus up.
Yeah.
And when you back that bus up, because everything like, you got Raskin, is sitting there saying, he's going after Trump. He's got all kinds of stuff. It's going to come out this Thursday. This was a witch hunt. If you had stuff, you'd really lay it out now. But they're going to lay it out and it's nothing, there's nothing there. I mean, who was it? Michael Cohen, who now has a podcast. He was told by the impeachment lawyer, Trump's going to be indicted. Really? Where do you get that from? You did the impeachment on false information, and the Senate, didn't vote to carry through the impeachment. And then we find out it was all based on a lie. So do you think that we can believe or trust anything that you present this Thursday? And the news has admitted in the Ukraine, they lied about the stories about how the Ukraine is doing.
What time is I think it's about 7:00 on Thursday night, right?
7 or 8, yeah.
And is it going to be on all the networks? I only see it mentioned on MSNBC, but I would imagine other networks are going to go with it.
Yeah, they say, we're doing it in prime time for everyone to see. Yeah. The networks are going to follow. They've got the people pulling the strings. I'm sure that the Soroses are saying, whatever money you're going to lose, I will pay you.
Yeah.
They're going to pay him.
That's a very good George Soros, by the way. Sort of like Dr. Evil, actually.
Dr. Evil, yes. I have your best intentions in mind.
Well, all I can tell you is I'll watch it, I guess, because it's our job to watch it. But I hope that people ignore it and go rent a movie, because this is not going to be a true and honest presentation by any stretch of the imagination. They hired a NBC producer, I believe, or former NBC producer of nighttime programming to produce this hearing. Now, think about it, friends. If this were an honest hearing, they would simply put cameras in the corners and be able to get all the angles, turn them on, and present it. But they're getting stage cues. They're getting direction from somebody off camera on how to make the presentation sell to the American people. That's not honest. That isn't honest.
They're trying to kill Trump before the midterms. They're trying to do everything that they can. They're here to disrupt you. I paid $5.29 a gallon. How much are you paying now for gas?
I wanted to tell you about that. I figured out my travel. I drove 500 miles each way.
Right.
Last year when I did that, each way cost me about $90.
Right.
Maybe, on gas. Not bad, but it cost me about $90 each way. So $180.
$180, yeah. Okay.
This time around, same trip, same route, cost me about $425.
Wow. Yeah. So that's more than double. Now, you know what? People generally bet they vote with their bet. Yeah. It's a bet in Washington. All right. They vote with their pocketbook and not by what they hear. What you're hearing has been a lie, and I'm hoping that people are starting to see the lies that are coming through. Thursday night is not what you think it is. It's more than a witch hunt. It is a rigged tribunal.
Yeah, it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And whatever, and there is no justice. It's not a court of law. They have determined, and they're going to prosecute, and they're going to put in your mind the end result that they want. And the face of this whole thing, do you think Liz Cheney is a good woman?
No.
I'm asking honestly.
Yeah, I don't. I do not. I used to like her, Bill. When she first came out, I thought she's a smart person and and then you get to know her and you see her vindictiveness, you see her mean spirit. She is not going to get reelected, by the way. I think she's
not. She is the Hall & Oates song. The rich girl, she's a rich bitch. And she is the latter.
Yeah.
Forget about the money. She's the latter. And you see that face. And if you really look at her, she is, it's evil. She's trying to get even for things that Trump said about her dad and her.
when you watch this thing on Thursday night, understand that the representatives up there on the podium and the dais, they've been directed essentially by this NBC producer. This is not an unrehearsed presentation. I don't mean that they've been walked through and told what to say, but I do think that he has probably taken them all aside and said, well, at this point, if you're going to make this, you're going to emphasize this, we're going to go to a close-up of there's been some direction. There's been some dramatic direction on this process. You don't hire an NBC producer just to come on board to make sure that the cameras work.
No.
You hire them to help stage it, to help sell it. And that's exactly what they're trying to sell something to the American people. They want to make it look like Donald Trump bad. Donald Trump is, and folks, all I ask you to do is look around the world you're living in right now. Just look around. When Donald Trump was president, I don't care if his hair was purple. I don't care if he was tanning himself on the White House lawn. The guy had us in a world where we had lower fuel prices. We had enough food for our kids. Baby formula was in good supply in the stores. We didn't have any problem getting anything to eat. We were, even during the pandemic, you felt secure because you knew he was doing something positive to try to help us get out of it. This guy we have in the White House right now, in my humble opinion, is a complete and unadulterated failure. If you voted for him, I would like you to at least think about where you are now and reconsider your vote next time around, because that side, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The economists are saying, "Oh, we've hit the plateau. Actually, inflation's going to stop. It's going to start shrinking. But you won't really see it or feel it until maybe a couple of years from now." Oh, okay, they're trying to buy time. Take all the realities that you're facing in. Watch a Joe Biden speech and really think about what he's doing and what he's saying. He has destroyed this country in not even half of his presidency.
And Bill, this is treason. What he's doing to our country is treason, and we're sitting there letting it happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, they want to go after Trump, saying, "Well, it was terrible. It was it's against the law." When Stormy Daniels came about, and Trump said, "Let's just get her out of it. Just give her some money, go away." How many Democrats have given away money for someone to go away? Joe Biden gave away money because of his groping and digiting in the White House of a woman.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay.
They talk about guns. They want your gun. They want my gun. They want guns. Okay. They want everyone's guns. Don't think it's going to stop at AR-15s or assault rifles. That's just the beginning. They want all your guns. Trust me. I really believe that. Once they get the first wave, they're going to say, well, the other guns are doing bad things too. We need those too. So you've already started giving us your guns, so don't stop now. But I want you to take into consideration the fact that old Hunter Baby, the son of the president, had an unlicensed gun. He had an unlicensed weapon. There are pictures of him waving the gun around in front of one of his women of the night like it's a big deal. And I guess at some point he decided he better get rid of it. And instead of getting rid of it in the proper fashion, he threw it in a dumpster. And I guess the Secret Service had to go find it. The Secret Service had to find the damn gun. And if it were anyone else in the world who had thrown a gun away like that, they would have arrested them.
I sure like to know who these Secret Service agents were, because they were aiding and abetting a criminal.
Yeah.
So he should be charged for it, and they should too. Set an example of these stupid people.
Last night, I wanted to play this earlier, but we've been on a roll. Peter Navarro was on. was on Tucker Carlson's show last night.
Yeah.
And Tucker did a great job. He always does. And that just ticked off a bunch of people. But I think Tucker's a terrific host. And Peter Navarro was on. As you know, he was arrested. They took him off an airplane because he's such a criminal. And instead of doing it in the proper way, they put him in shackles. Perp walked him through the airport, took him back to the holding cell, strip searched him. And if you don't believe me, listen to him.
Peter Navarro, thanks so much for coming on. How was this allowed? This is so outside the bounds, unless I'm missing something, and I hope if so, you'll correct it. This is so outside the bounds of how a civilized country behaves. Did you see it coming? If not, how do you think this was allowed to happen?
Certainly, I saw it coming. We have entered really dangerous, unprecedented waters. Tucker, I was in a position where a partisan committee has weaponized the investigatory powers for the purpose of preventing Donald Trump from ever getting back in the White House. They subpoenaed me illegally. And I was faced with the untenable choice of upholding executive privilege, which was not my privilege to waive. That's Donald Trump's privilege to waive. So I did my duty to the president. I did my duty to this country, and here we sit. And the civil suit I filed, Tucker, I hope will be historically important because there's really two constitutional issues here at stake. The first, with this weaponization of Congress's investigatory powers, is a clear violation of the separation of powers in our Constitution. The legislative branch is not supposed to be the judge, jury, and execution. I heard one of your commentators there when you played that clip. The purpose was to punish Peter Navarro. That's not their role. That's the judiciary's role. So that alone is sufficient to render what they have done illegal, and therefore what the Department of Justice did illegal. But the bigger issue here, Tucker, and this is where the Department of Justice and committee were so disingenuous. I assert the executive privilege prevents me from complying with their subpoenas, and instead of going to talk and negotiate the privilege with Donald Trump as the law requires, they went into this fanciful and absurd notion that Biden, a sitting incumbent president, could strip his immediate predecessor of executive privilege, and me, a staff member to the president, of what the Justice Department itself, as you pointed out, has absolute testimonial immunity. It's absurd on its face.
Wait,
can every step along the line, go ahead.
Well, I have no doubt that it's unconstitutional and it's clearly an abuse of power, but I just want to get to the center of it, which is January 6th. This is the January 6th committee. You saw Liz Cheney in that disgusting, ridiculous, fawning interview say this, it's also chilling. Yes. Did you have anything at all to do with January 6th?
No. You had that exactly right, and what you and I have now both said, and which is absolute fact, is that the mission of that partisan witch hunt kangaroo committee, which is unduly authorized and not properly constituted and has no subpoena power, they have only one mission: to concoct a fake hoax around January 6th based on criminal charges against Trump to prevent him from running for re-election and taking back the White House in 2025 January. That's all this is about. And the idea, look, Tucker, this was, you said it, I live right next door, 50 yards from the FBI. On the Wednesday night, I sent an email to Patricia Alloy, the deputy attorney, and said, look, I'm seeking a modus vivendi here. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let's see what we can do. I gave her the name of an attorney. I told Walter Giordano, the FBI agent who'd come banging on my door the week before, hey, Walter, I'm here. Just call me, whatever you need. You don't need to bang on my door. They chose a different route. They didn't call my attorney. Instead, they went with this shock and awe terrorist strategy. Let me go to the airport and then take me with 5 agents like I'm a Al-Qaeda terrorist, rock me into a car, and the next thing I know, look, man, in leg irons, handcuffs, strip search. I mean, it was not without comedy. I mean, at one point, the FBI agents couldn't find the door to go into where I was supposed to go. The fingerprint machine didn't work. But people do not want to sit in solitary confinement in leg irons, denied food, denied water, denied an attorney. And this is what we live in. I mean, I studied Kafka in college. It took me till I was 72 to understand Kafka.
You can't arrest people for political reasons. It's very simple. We've invited every member of that committee on this show. All of them are too cowardly. Kinzinger, Cheney, cowards. But I just think this is a huge change in the way this country operates, and I wanted to note that and extend our sympathy to you. Peter Navarro, thank you, and Godspeed.
Thank you for your coverage, sir.
Kind of amazing how, when you think about it, that happened in the United States of America. And if it can happen to Peter Navarro, it can happen to Bill Knight. It can happen to me.
Can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And we talked about a little bit of that yesterday when we talked about the social scoring that's going on elsewhere. But probably if that takes hold the way it's supposedly going, it'll happen here. And that's the thought police. They will monitor what you do, what you say, how you vote. And they will be able to control you and reprogram you if you fall below a certain social.
Privacy is gone. Privacy will be gone. Your phone calls will be monitored, not by a person per se. You might have a computer listening for keywords, but when they hear those keywords, someone may go over and listen to the tape and decide, well, they were talking about stuff that was anti-this or anti-that. They should be brought in and talked to.
It's funny, you're talking about keywords and that. We had a problem with YouTube getting yanked and all that. And finally, I just sat there and said, well, we're back up, but they're throttling things. And I thought, I'm about ready to just say, screw YouTube. But one of the things that they do for conservative talk, or anybody, but basically conservative, when you do your description, it's word bots that go out and read those. And then they judge from that. They don't actually listen to all the audio content.
So the trick is you should put happy words in there.
Basically, yeah. But here's what's bad. You cannot have a political opinion. Although you can have pure pornography.
Oh, sure.
You can talk about the devil's tangle on a kid's channel. And the devil's tango is... like the old Wango tango, it's two naked people tangling together and making out. You want that to your 8, 9, or 10-year-old. YouTube says it's okay, but you cannot have a political opinion.
Right.
Hey, you can do a joke about Candace, which is basically a joke. Candace, go in my mouth.
Well.
This is what... Look it up. It's on YouTube. And you go, is that what I want in my house? If you don't, you have children, turn it the hell
So if you have conservative talk in the eyes of search of social media venues like YouTube, that's verboten. That's forbidden.
Right. If you talk about January 6th and say it's not an insurrection, that's fake news.
Yeah.
It was an insurrection, by the way. Insurrection is an uprising of the people against an established government, a legitimate established government. Well, now there's a question. Now, isn't it? And it wasn't an uprising of all the people. There were some people that went in. They were invited in. I say it was a setup. Legitimately established government. Now, wait a minute. We've never really explored.
There's a lot of people, Bill, who believe that Donald Trump to this day is the true president of the United States.
But they don't want to do a true audit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they poo-poo everything.
But right now, the other side they have all the guns. They have all the, quote, power. And
they have the judges. They're
yep.
Democratic judges.
You see what happens nowadays? You go in front of a judge where you think there'll be some honest determinations, and they politicize stuff. It's a strange and sad world that we're living in right now, and we have gone once again, my friend, on and on and on. And it's been a good show, a lot of fun. And
it has been. Page or two of prep here, and I talked about one thing, and there are a lot of big things on here, but I'll tell you the one thing that is worth mentioning. Kyle Rittenhouse. Mm-hmm. He's suing the media.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Because they called him a white supremacist.
This is a kid who was, 17 years old when this happened?
Yeah. Now, how did they get off doing that? They labeled him.
Yeah.
Now, don't they? Isn't it the media and the left that says you cannot label people?
And yet they do it all the time.
They do it all the time. So you know what? I hope he sues the pants off of NBC, ABC, CBS. What is it? CNN.
Do you remember the kid from Kentucky who was standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and that Native American, quote, gentleman came up in his face and started screaming and banging his drum? And I can't remember the kid's name. I'll think of it, I'm sure, when the show is over. And the media came down not on the Indian who was screaming in the kid's face.
It came down it came down.
And so what happened? That kid turned around and sued the pants off of the media and became a very wealthy young man. Well, his lawyer has just joined the Rittenhouse legal group to go after the media. So they're going for some big bucks. Trust me.
Well, you know what? They need to tell the media that they need to STFU is the phrase.
Yes, I think we know what that means.
And quit giving opinions and just report the news and have no commentary on it.
If you think that's going to stop them,
no, it won't.
It ain't going to happen. Hey, buddy, we gotta wrap it up because we've done it again. And hope with a little bit of luck, we'll do it again tomorrow, too. We got a lot to talk about already for tomorrow's show.
Yeah, we don't have to even prep. We already got it. No, we'll prep.
Hey, buddy.
We may not use it.
That's true. Have yourself a good day, my friend.
I'm going to try. You do the same. I'm out of here.